I will give some time for the people to come back in. I know I did my best to get it right this time, but somehow it didn't work. So, okay. Right here I am. Hi! Hi guys, thank you for joining back. So sorry what happened just now. I try my best to start with it vertically, but sometimes it just doesn't work. Hi! Hi Chris! Hi Joshua! Hi Steven! So good to see you guys. How's your afternoon? I know I did a live 2 days ago, right? And I decided to do it again because just things that are happening with North Korea, the US government has been horrifying. And it was too, because when it comes to talking about real problems, it takes a lot of context and nuance. The real problems are so complex. I just want to take this time to explain to people who actually care about what is happening in North Korea. And I'm sure Biden will never care about what I think, but still put my ideas out there. Anyway, so thank you guys for being nice to me. I love being with you. Anyway, so today the title, as you can see, how to solve North Korea, and my advice to Biden. So lately, since February, 감사합니다 김정훈님, 정훈님. So since February, Biden has been reached out to Kim Jong Un quietly initially, and then Kim Jong Un would like just ignore the Biden's response. And recently, Biden's envoy to North Korea said, anywhere, anytime, without any preconditions, we are willing to talk to North Korean leader and meet with them. This brought me a lot of memories back. Do you remember when Trump met with Kim Jong-un? I gotta admit that back then I got so emotional that the fact Trump, the leader of this free world, sitting down with a murderous dictator without getting any pre-concession, that seemed shocking to me. So I was a frontline critical of person who was criticizing Trump. And I wasn't only one who was doing that, actually. Everybody in the mainstream media did. And including Biden, he was doing the presidential debates. I remember what Biden was saying. He was passionately criticizing Trump that the Kim Jong-un is a murderer, he's a murderous dictator. You meet with him without getting anything from him and gave him the legitimacy, and I would not do the same thing. Now here we are, less than 2 years ago, 2 years later. Biden is dying to sit down with Kim Jong-un and talk to him. He's begging for Kim Jong-un's return of his call. That this week, the White House finally published their plan to solve North Korea, their policy towards North Korea. And it was just unbelievable what this Biden came up with. So Obama had this 80 years of policy called strategic patience, which means you do nothing. They say strategically we're gonna wait patiently by doing nothing. So they are basically saying we're gonna sit down here and wait for Kim Jong-un to make a positive move. And Biden exactly gonna repeat what Obama did. Strategically doing nothing, but in a very fancy way saying just abandon this cause. I don't know why. So now currently it's very clear Biden's priority is not North Korea. And somehow Iran became a lot higher priority for his administration. And you guys can enlighten me why Biden is willing to spend so much money, energy to solve Iranian issue, but not the North Korean issue. In my mind is because in order to solve North Korea, you gotta talk to Chinese. So otherwise it makes no sense, right? I mean, Democrats are, I mean, they are the ones talking about human rights in general, right? They keep saying they care about the minority, they care about people who are suffering. So it makes zero sense why, despite public awareness now, I mean, Kim Jong-un, he came out last week said more than 10 millions of North Koreans have a severe malnutrition and do not have sufficient food. Kim Jong-un admitted that in nursing history that never happened. In the face of that mass humanitarian crisis happening in North Korea, Biden chose not to do anything about North Korea. To me, the only explanation I can get is China. Because Biden just doesn't want to bother China, doesn't want to get them upset. And he just, yeah, so this is so, it's like, there's 8 years Obama was in the office, and then when he was giving a position to Trump, he was saying, oh, in your administration, North Korea is going to have the biggest challenge you're going to ever face. But good luck, Trump, and he left. And Biden now came back and going to repeat the same thing that Obama did. Why America sitting down here and doing nothing about what's happening to the North Korean people and the regime? The regime is developing the nuclear capability that can harm entire humanity. The things the North Korean regime is working on are not just nuclear missiles, guys. I mean, I know a lot of us now don't talk about the origin of coronavirus, right? North Korea tests chemical weapons. And how do we ever guarantee that there isn't a virus that can leak from North Korean chemical lab? It is totally possible. This is why we cannot live with authoritarian and dictatorship under the same sky. I mean, how did we know the world was gonna go upside and down because of one lab? Intentionally, unintentionally, a virus came out, and now we went through the pandemic and still going through the pandemic, and we don't even know the long-term result of this pandemic. And how do we know that it's not gonna happen with North Korea, right? And that's why we gotta stop North Korea. Not just because, of course, like what is happening, what North Korean people are going through is heartbreaking. But if that is not enough reason for this government to act, then they gotta think for themselves. Like they gotta think about their own benefit. Leaving North Korea like this and they continue to develop these mass destruction weapons isn't doing anyone's favor whatsoever. So let me start answering your question. So that was like the current updates on North Korea with the Biden administration and the US government and other countries. Thank you, Bubblegum. American government only cares for Israel's interest. It's so, yeah, the government just, I was thinking, no wonder why people are suffering in this world, because these heartless people running the world. And it's just so shocking, like, just it's so horrible, I'm sure like politics is so important, but they do way more harm than good. Imagine if we didn't have regimes like North Korea, how much better off people would be. So, yeah, Lisa said Obama didn't give a damn about North Korea for sure. This is what's shocking to me, even though I was not a big fan when Trump was sitting down with Kim Jong-un and calling Kim Jong-un a great leader, writing love letters. I mean, humanly, I understand. Like, Trump was coming from business world, and he wanted to just buy Kim Jong-un's trust and eventually, help him to open up the country and feed his own people and stop the nuclear weapon. And I do know that was Trump's head. That's how he was thinking about it, right? He had good intentions, but he did not also know the symbolic movement when you do that as the leader of this free country. When you say, I trust this Kim Jong-un, I care about Kim Jong-un, then North Korean elite now think the American president is backing him. So any coup is not gonna happening. The revolution inside the country resisting Kim Jong-un gonna be very hard because now Kim Jong-un is a legitimate leader that was validated by the USA president. But the thing is, despite all that, like at least Trump made North Korea visible. He talked about the issue. He made North Korea in a high profile. Now Biden is just like completely burying this issue. Even though Obama said this is gonna be the biggest threat posing to America, that is North Korea. And Trump and Biden is pretending that never happened. Obama never said it. It wasn't what Trump said. It was like what Obama said. So, I think, okay. So, Sanguine Soulful, as I say, what practical suggestion would you give to Biden if you could, Yeonmi? Be as specific as possible, please. And thank you for the work you did. Thank you very much for the question. Specific advice that I would give to Biden is, first, instead he's trying to reach out to Kim Jong-un and Kim Yo-jong North Korean regime, Biden should call Xi Jinping the first thing in the morning. That is what he should be doing. He should call Biden and say, like, we have a lot of trade going on. The US and the Chinese economy are very dependent on each other, right? China needs the US more than we need China, for sure, that we all know that. So in a way that we have a better bargain power with China. So if US really cares about stopping the nuclear threats from North Korea, the first thing that Biden is going to call in Xi Jinping and can you stop supporting this Kim Jong-un, the dictator? He's putting people in the concentration camp. He's enslaving his people. He's starving his own people. And this guy is a threat to entire humanity. If Xi Jinping says no, then the US need to come up with a better strategy than like, okay, if you say no, we're gonna boycott this, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be a not war, like that's not what I'm saying. Physical war is not, I'm not endorsing that. Then we are dying, right? China, America goes war, we are all dying. Diplomatic war I'm talking about. Like we passed that point where we just keep hoping Kim Jong-un would do the right thing and Xi Jinping would do the right thing. These guys are power sick, like maniacs, right? All they care is maintaining their power. When we do that, we cannot be just softly, gently waiting for these guys to come to their senses and do the right thing. It's that kind of strategy has come because we can never change North Korea without China. But Biden is not even acknowledged that responsibility is on China. Trump did that. He was at the UN, he was saying, the first thing he was saying, China is responsible for North Korean problem. And he was so deadly right. And Biden is not even talking about what is problem. Instead, he's keep talking, just hoping to talk to Kim Jong-un. And of course, Kim Jong-un knows how soft Biden is gonna be with him. So now he knows he can bully Biden. But Kim Jong-un knew that Trump was not gonna be bullied, for sure, right? So Kim Jong-un had to sending these letters of care and love letters to Trump. I mean, why do you think one equal position of the nation, one president reaching out to Kim Jong-un was dying to sit down with him, inviting him to Pyongyang and sending the love letters, and now the next president came in, Kim Jong-un is not even returning the call. And today was in the Washington Post, Kim Yo-jong said, if the US wants to talk to us, that decision is on us, not you guys, the Washington DC. We are the boss. And the Biden has nothing to say about that. So diplomatically, this diplomacy, we are getting bullied by now to North Korean regime. That's how low, guys. I'm so sorry to say that, but the American reputation in the diplomacy world right now, that's how low it is. This country is being ordered by some mafia sitting down in Pyongyang. The thing is, like, it's not like Kim Jong-un even saying that. Kim Jong-un thinks that Biden's too low to even like deal with him. He's using his younger sister to talk to Biden administration. He's not even bothering to talk to America right now. So that is what I would do. If I'm like can talk to Biden, you need to acknowledge that China is responsible for this crisis, and you need to speak to China right now. Stop helping Kim Jong-un. and force Kim Jong-un to stop the nuclear test, right? China has that power. If China says, Kim Jong-un, I'm not gonna give you any money, no gas. So that's the thing, like, all we want China to stop giving to Kim Jong-un is not even food or medicine. Everything China can give it to North Korea. The one thing that we don't want North Korea to have is gas, oil. Without oil, how do you drive tank? Without oil, how do you test missiles? Oil is not humanitarian thing, right? Food, medicine is. So even the people like say we hate the sanctions, like okay, fine, like I can compromise. What China is giving to Kim Jong-un is all the things that he needs to test missiles. That they do not stop giving to the regime. And instead the regime, Kim Jong-un is saying no thank you to the medicine coming into the country. Kim Jong-un says no thank you to the formula, the food for the people to come in. It's not like the international community has been abandoning North Korea. UN is dying to give North Korea food to feed the people, and Kim Jong-un says no thank you because I don't want to feed my people, because I need the North Korean people to stay weak and starved so they do not rise and challenge my power. So people really didn't understand how North Korea were operating and who is responsible, and Biden is not acknowledging that as a president to this country. Thank you, Gabrielle. When the Japanese tortured those Korean kids to death in 1919, the West responded with the thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. It was only brutality of war, and that set them free. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I know. It's when it comes to government policy, right? That you're hoping the dictator might change his mind. I mean, this guy's been in power for the last 80 years. And they've been devoting everything they have to building tests, right? I was in my few days video, I said, one missile test when Kim Jong-un does, he can feed 25 million of North Koreans for entire year. Since 2017, during the 4 years, North Korea conducted more than 30 missile tests. And some of the tests would cost a lot more. Those are like long range and hydrogenic bombs. They cost way more money. So for the last years, if Kim Jong-un did just half of the test, not even the half, like he cut down like fourth of the test, none of the person in North Korea had to die from starvation. But that is not the case. This is an evil man that we are talking about, and this is an evil man that Biden is letting him bully himself. John, thank you. Yeonmi, I think I am in love with you. You'll join your Patreon. Thank you so much. You're so kind. So bubblegum, thank you. So I don't know. Your message got deleted. Anyway, so I know there's a lot of trolling is going on here, but it's okay. I love you guys all. So let's see. So globalists are finished with America. Interesting. Of course, thank you. Sanguine soulful is what I say. So how did you learn English? It's I know we can move to something very light. I learned English. Even till this day, I learned English by reading books, watching podcasts. And initially I learned watching American TV show Friends, and that really helped. But at this point my English went beyond that, so I really have to read like a lot of academic papers, you know, then I can keep improving. Anyway, did you know China supports North Korea Did you know China supports North Korea for its rare earth resources? So yeah, Victor is asked that. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, but China is running all the North Korean mines now, and they dig entire North Korea up and get the gold out, silver out, and they use North Koreans as like free slaves. So a lot of mines and the lands were lent to China for literally for like 200 years 50 years are the shortest term, like 100 years. So in a way, Chinese colonialism began in North Korea a long time ago. And yeah, so even though North Korea keep laughing at South Korea, saying that South Korea is the colonized by America, but it's not at all. Actually, it's North Korean people now being colonized by Chinese regime, and for the price and for the reward is keeping the regime in their status quo. And that's what's been happening. But I'm sure North Korea is not the only one being colonized by China right now, right? I mean, people from Indonesia, Africa, South America, Central America, Middle East, all around the world right now, even how much Chinese helping Iranian regime to stay in power, right? Like, in a way, Chinese is like the regime is the biggest funder to these all bad guys to enslave humanity. And with this threat, with this danger to humanity, America, the greatest country in the world, is not standing up to this bully. That's really wrong. So, John Garner, did you get your degree from Columbia? What degree is it? Congrats, totally support you. Hope you have things in place to stay safe. Thank you. I did graduate from Columbia. I'm not sure about that. Really, when I got entered there, I didn't want to graduate, right? But the thing is, I like to finish when I start something. So I did. I still don't know what to think about it. I have a son, so if he wants to go to Columbia, I will say no. I'm like, it's not happening. But I did graduate, but there was no celebration because of the pandemic happened. So there was a virtual graduation. Some machine read my name. I got the certificate, got emailed it to my address. I studied economics for the first 2 years. It was interesting because, I've been doing public policy and human rights such a long time. And I was also studied criminal justice in South Korea. So studying economics really helped to use my different side of brain and helped me to understand the world better. But of course, I had to filter out a lot of the, brainwashing that was happening at Columbia, especially when it comes to macroeconomics, right? Micro is more like math theory assumptions, but macro is really can sway a lot, right? Depending on your political spectrum. And then after 2 years, I studied human rights and political science. And another thing is, for me, that human rights meant safe space meant where having a human rights meant you speak your ideas without being censored and suppressed and censored for it. So my definition of a safe place was where you can have freedom of speech. But at Columbia, their safe space meant every speech is all banned, but only the speech that I feel comfortable is allowed. So that was such a bizarre experience. And I guess given your life experience, people want different things. Like in my case, all my life, I was being censored, I've been oppressed. So I wanted to go to a safe place where I can express my thoughts. But these people, all they had in their life was freedom. So now they are curious about oppression in a way. It's hilarious. So Eric, in an ideal world where the international community were unified against North Korea and China, what could be done about the North Korean threat to Seoul? That seems the biggest blocker to change. Do you agree? Right, in an ideal world, people gonna stand up, right? This is like the UN said, what is happening in North Korea is a modern day Holocaust. People were here fighting for polar bears and little ducks, fighting against Canada goose, right? We totally have the resources and energy to fight for human beings right now. What we can do is really not even doesn't have to be military thing. North Korean missiles is like really bad, even though they are powerful. They are not that horrible, but if South Korea puts out a dome that Israel has from the Palestinians, right, that dome, it could save a lot of South Koreans. And then of course North doesn't like it. So I think that could prevent if there is any North Korean attack happens. But it's very less likely if North Korea shoots a missile, then Japan and America gonna shoot them down and kill the dictatorship right there. So Kim Jong-un knows as soon as he actually started any provocation, other than shooting down some like submarine in the ocean, the actual beginning of the war happens, Kim Jong-un gonna be crushed, right? His kingdom gonna end. So no matter what, it's not gonna happen as long as Kim Jong-un wants to stay in power. And I think what do we do with the threat to South Korea is like that dome definitely helps. And other than that is we just gotta talk how we deal with China is boycotting China. I mean, that is the most powerful tool we have in this international global marketization, right? We can boycott China easily. But because of this is like not, I mean, nothing is perfect. The side of the capitalism is when it's not with the consciousness, when there's no morality in capitalism. That's the when it's very sad to see right now in Hollywood, right? Hollywood is definitely driven by profit. And of course, the private companies shouldn't make profit. Nobody blames that. But how do you make profit? Does that mean you plead with a dictator? You are so corrupt that you don't speak for the justice? And they were like shooting Mulan, that Disney movie, in the place in Xinjiang in China where there were like concentration camps for the Uyghur people. This is what Hollywood does right now. So I think right now in the world, we need to, instead of keep saying let's try socialism and let's get rid of the private property because capitalism breeds into inequality, we need to promote the conscious moral capitalism. And anything can be better, right? Anything can get better. I think capitalism has a room to get better, and that's the beauty of the capitalism. It is the most flexible thing that I've ever seen. Capitalism is so flexible. If consumers want morally produced products, right? Capitalism adjusts. Now, like, look at how many people buying products that are eco-friendly, they're like child labor friendly, because consumers now demands we want the product that was morally produced. So we can do that. Like now we say, oh, we don't want a makeup that was like animal tested. Now we can say we don't want the product that is been coming from Chinese Communist Party, Chinese country, because they are sponsoring dictatorship in the North Korea. But then this thing has to be bigger movement, right? But the thing is, we are America. This is the most powerful country. If America leads that movement, all other countries gonna follow, right? The Britain, Australia, Canada, a lot of countries gonna follow. So I think now the beauty about this, like individuals have powers in this country, that as individuals we can make the conscious decisions and starting that movement of making capitalism moral again, right? I mean, I do see the problem with the American corporation. It's horrifying. This is not capitalism. This corporation lobbying the lawmakers, coming up things that are better for them. And yeah, I mean, it's even though I'm a very pro free market person, but I do see the huge problem with the American corporations and the Hollywood, right? When they're only seeking is just the profit. Doesn't matter what kind of profit they're making, all they just care is making money. And look at even LeBron James and John Cena this time. I mean, it's just so sickening, and this is why I see sad, like America losing those moral values, and I'm sure it is also goes together because as America becomes less religious, and when God is there, of course it's very dogmatic and all the values are going away in this country. And I do think I see that the chaos in morality happening, and that's why capitalism is also corrupting. But capitalism can always adjust if the individuals make the right demands. Silent Samurai. You inspire me. I was abused within unimaginable things, starvation, beating, and psychological torture for 18 years. When I heard about you and read what I could, you set a path for me. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. Sorry guys, I'm like taking so long to answer your question. Thank you, Jimmy. Paul, thank you, Paul. And Hermi, Izaki Malabed, is that right? Victor, will you vote for 국민의힘 in the 2020 South Korean election? Also, should the US go to war for Taiwan? Is Taiwan important to you? I love you, thanks. I mean, Taiwan is obviously important to me, and Hong Kong is important to me. Did you read that today? There's Apple Daily. I'm not sure. I did interview them when I was in Hong Kong a few years ago. China banned that newspaper where there was like they were, supporting democracy in Hong Kong. I care about, people who are oppressed. It's not I'm fighting for North Korean people because it's only my people. I know a lot what I saw. I know what is happening in North Korea. That's why I'm fighting for them. But I care for anybody who are oppressed under any authoritarian regime. In South Korea, I might become a citizen in the USA within this year or next year. I applied for the citizenship earlier this year, and guess what? How long it takes to hear from the US government currently? 8 to 11 months for me to just hear what they think about my application. Once that happens, and then they're gonna let me know, and then come for an interview, blah blah. It can take up to 2 years to get a citizenship, even though I'm a green card holder. So I might not be a South Korean by 2020. So I might vote in America before then. So it's hard to say, but going to war for Taiwan, I love peace, right? I love peace. So I do think instead of us going to war and using violence, we should do everything we can with the diplomacy, with the boycotting, with the trade. We have a lot of tools. We have a lot of leverage over China. There's so much can be done to pursue China, stop colonizing North Korea. Taking over Hong Kong now, wants taking over Taiwan, right? That America has a lot of tools to deal with China. I think once we ran out of all those options, then maybe, I don't know, but I do think we should not go there like that. We should take everything we can to prevent the war by using a diplomacy to stop the evil. Because letting evil exist and continue is not justice. That is not tolerance, right? So we should do everything we can to stop it right now. So you guys are so awesome, and thank you my Patreons right now doing the moderation. It's and let me see. Oh, thank you so much, Alex. I somehow think, let's see your. Anyway, so we are clear now that North Korea is not a Biden's administration priority, and then we don't know I don't know how to make it his priority, but I know only way we can do that is talking about it, right? That is at least what we have in this country going on, is we can talk about the issues and we can raise a public conversation and narrative around these issues. I think in a way that our enemy is the same, right? Now in America, there's a lot of companies who want to police Chinese Communist Party and censor individuals. And the people in Hong Kong and Taiwan is oppressed by China. So in a way, we have to deal with one enemy, which is CCP. So it simplifies. Thank you, Chelsea. Alex said, Hayami, would you marry Kim if it meant ending the Hermit Kingdom? No. No. Well, I can die. That's the thing. If I die, and if I can save my people, I would die gladly in 1 second. There's not even hesitation about it. Well, that's an interesting thought experiment. I did think about people said, at what price do you think it's okay for the people to be free? And I said, I'm actually even okay if some country convince Kim Jong-un, say, Kim Jong-un, just leave the regime, give the power to the people, and we're gonna make sure that your generation and your next generation gonna have an awesome time in Switzerland with all the money and castle. I don't mind that. Like, I'm very practical person. Like, I do not get anything by, of course I want to see justice served, but the thing is, I care more about the suffering of North Korean people. I am completely fine if Kim Jong-un goes to Switzerland and have an awesome life till the end of his time and his children, but North Korean people get freedom. I am more than happy to negotiate. It's not, I don't have to hang Kim Jong-un. It's not like my personal revenge to him. I just want to see people live like human beings. It just makes no sense why like 7 billion of us talking about animals' rights, and there are 25 million human beings don't even know they have rights as a human beings. That just this should not even exist in the fiction. This is almost too fictional. Like, how this is like a contemporary world. So Daniel, I've seen a video of North Korean water park by Simon Wilson. I'm a bit confused. What's your take on it? Love your work. Keep it up. Thank you, Daniel. So let's talk about this Pyongyang, right? Now it seems like a lot of fancy buildings in Pyongyang. North Korea has ski resorts. They got, this playground, amusement park, and all the sorts of things. And especially when the tourists go to North Korea, they say, oh, I was in North Korea. I never seen anybody who starved to death on the streets, so North Korea is amazing. And the fact that we say North Korea is poor is a Western propaganda, right? So think about North Korea, guys. It's not like, even though it began as a communism and now they call themselves a socialism, the country, the people have classes. Did any of you see this video recently came out on Asia Boss? He was a top elite in North Korea. He was a top intelligence officer and escaped. And he was saying these intelligence officers, when they refer average North Koreans, they call us rubbish. They don't call us we are humans. They don't even call us we are people. They say we are trash. So North Korea into 3 big categories of caste system. It's a caste system. This is what you do. When you fight for equality in outcomes, you end up with 50 different castes. So in this caste, first guy, the Kim Jong-un, is a god. He's not even just a president. He's a... Okay. So I'm back, guys. Sorry, the internet is a little bit weird. It's so funny. Whenever I do live, I get this. And in the beginning, I didn't want to be saying like, is this like somebody in China jamming from hackers? But every single time, guys, I do live, this happens. And I know my patrons been moderating, they know. Every single time this happens. I don't know what to say about it. But anyway, so because in this loyalty status, the North Korean officials, but do you know what they are like spending their energy on? They are spending all their energy to get concubines. And most of people, their goal is being fed. So average women in North Korea, their job, their dream is being picked up by this pleasure squad thing. So I talked about pleasure squad a lot. So the regime goes around the country and collects girls who look pretty. And then they are served by the dictator and the top elite guys, and all these guys are abusing these girls, right? But the women want to go picked by pleasure squad because they are gonna be fed at least. That's all they want. So because of that, there's a lot of entertainment that's set up for Kim Jong-un and the elite. And those are the ones what the foreigners get to see, and then they think every North Korean goes to water park and ski resort. North Korean people do not even have freedom to go to next town. Not even mention to different city or like the capital. Next town without permit. And in North Korea, there's nothing called like sleepovers. Everybody have to sleep in a designated area. And so you cannot just say like, I'm gonna sleep in a hotel in my city. Like, we don't even have a hotel, first of all, but that is not allowed. That's how little freedom people have. It's really not a joke. If the government tells you what kind of haircut you can have, you can see how much people are controlled by the regime. So it is so sad when people go there as a tourist and then bring this misconception about the country and say, everything that people, we said like how horribly people treat this like Western propaganda. That is another narrative that people want to defend the socialism. Oh, thank you so much, CJ. So Katie and me, how can we help North Korean defectors and help keep voices like yours safe? Can you remind us who can donate to so the money reaches the people? So thank you for your question, Katie. I have Patreon and I also have the lockers. I only found out recently, guys. So I might get banned on YouTube, right? It was funny. So a few days ago, I know you saw a lot of my interviews on Fox, right? And then like nobody in the traditional media reaching out to me. And even though I want to fight this freedom in America where political correctness overrides everything, this is a danger to American society to the core. I want to fight for that cause. And I was waiting for anybody in New York Times or CNN reach out to me, and nobody did. I want to talk to them. It's not like I want to divide the country. I want to talk to everybody, right, who wants to hear my perspective. And then later, I was requested to have an interview with Steve Bannon. And I did not know he was banned on Twitter. So I asked people like, what do you think about I go on a show with Steve Bannon? Like, no, it's not good for your image. Like, he's in trouble. You don't want to do that. It's like, he's a human being. And the fact that you don't talk to a person because of their ideas, that's what communists do. That's what Marxists do. And it's like, no, like, I care about what people think. I respect people have a freedom to think differently. And I obviously got on the Steve Bannon's war room, like, and I loved having a conversation with him. And I think that's why I might get banned. But I have the lockers, I have Patreon, and we will find a way, right? I mean, I found a way in the desert, so I'm sure I will find a way to survive here for sure. And another question about how to help is there are non-profits that are working on these issues. So please, there's a video that I made, how to help North Korea, and there are 5 organizations that I listed below. I do not recommend personally to support Liberty in North Korea. I'm so sorry to say that, but that's not the organization that I endorse. I know a lot of people donated to that organization after hearing my story, but I endorse now other like smaller organizations that are not spending a lot of money on marketing budget. Because when it comes to non-profits, they spend so much money promoting what they do instead of spending the money on actual programs. And in a way, it's better off to support the NGOs that has a horrible website, right? Does not have good staff. And in some ways, I get to know them a lot, and they do actually spend every penny they can on the programs and actually rescuing North Korean defectors and getting information inside the country. So easiest thing you can do is spreading this awareness, telling your friends, share on social media, and also get involved with those like non-profits. So Alex, again, have you read The Girls with the 7 Names by Hyun-Soo Lee? How does reading North Korean stories affect you? I read the book, and I read the man escaped from camp. I read pretty much 98% of papers, books that was written about North Korea, because that's what I do all day long, right? Analyzing North Korea. How does it affect? It affects me still. I guess still shocked and also surprised, because even though we were in North Korea, we were not able to go to different town and see how other people lived, right? We are so isolated. So in a way, guys, after you hear me for last an hour, you know more about North Korea than North Koreans who are living there know about their own country. Because in North Korea, you have no clue what even dictatorship is, right? So hearing about what other people, how they lived in the country, in a ways they were so similar, but in some ways they were very, very different. And it made sense to me why the regime had to make us to so isolated from each other so we don't gather and, rise together. I continue to read all the stories that are coming from North Korea and people and the export. So yeah, I encourage you guys to do the same thing. Thank you, Charles, again. So Samuel, America can't stand up to China because Americans, especially black and white citizens, are too ignorant to separate Chinese CCP from Asian Americans. So citizens are too ignorant to separate Chinese CCP from Asian Americans. That is, I do think you guys don't give you enough credit. In a way, this is such a new thing for me, guys. As an outsider, I came to this country. I started Colombia in 2016 in January, right? So it is true that I'm very, very new to this country. But do you know, this is the only thing that I found in America and in the Western European countries, the self-loathing and self-hate. They say, oh, Americans don't understand this. Like, Americans don't. But you guys do. You guys are just too humble. Do you know when you go to China, like Korea, South Korea, so many other countries, they're so full of themselves. They think they know the best and they deserve the best. And when I came to America, I heard of these things called white privilege, white guilt, and so much self-loathing, right? And I don't know where this culture and it is good to be humble, right? You're good to know your tendencies, your biases. But then it's always about that and you lose the pride. Not in a pride way of being arrogant, but in a pride in a way that what this country has achieved, what the people have achieved together, what you have achieved as an individual, right? And it is true they are so bigots, think, Chinese people are CCP. And the thing people say like, oh, so you must hate Chinese people. No, I love Chinese people. I love Chinese food. I speak Chinese, right? I love Chinese language. I love Chinese history. The thing that I do not like Chinese Communist Party, the regime that they are having. And I do think Chinese people are also the victims of this regime. So, but the thing is, Americans are pretty good at that. I don't know why the media keeps saying, oh, when Chinese walking by, some white people said, oh, you must have coronavirus because you're Chinese. And maybe this one kind of incident reported in every news channel, and we feel like every American is not stupid enough not knowing that. In a way that I've been to countries, many countries, I visited 60 countries now. Americans are most aware, most very, very humble people. I think you guys are good enough. I think you should have more pride in yourself, in your tradition, in your culture. It just breaks my heart to see the people are this much misunderstood. I never met a country that was more misunderstood than America is. This country tries everything to fight for the right things, fight for justice, fight for freedom, but so misunderstood. And now even themselves are confused. They think, if they say, I had this problem, I having these people, right? Like they say, you're a liar, you're a propagandist, and then at some point, maybe I am that, If you keep telling the lie enough, it becomes truth. And it is a real thing. If every single day media and places telling you you are guilty, you are bad, to your core you are bad, you're a bigot, and people think it is true. So we gotta start repeating these lies. And I love how this country is so humble, and how sensitive this country is to embracing other people. And in a way, that good intention went too far now. All they care is all about feelings, right? All they care is how other people feel. As long if you have offended somebody's feeling, the logic, facts, rationality doesn't matter, right? That's all matters. So I think you should have way more credit for being in this country with these amazing people. Yeah, I don't even know how to wrap that up. It just, till this day, I don't know where it began to self-loathing. And yeah, being at Columbia entire time with these brightest kids, they're so smart. Like their IQ is unbelievable. Like I never felt more dumb than then. But you see them digging their own grave with this self-loathing, and yeah, it's unbelievable. So Bob Moss being sorry, I think guys I don't know what to say, but anyway. So Dr. V, so good to see you. I am sure there will be a way forward even if you are being banned. Know that there are people that do care. I know that, guys. It is because of you guys I'm hopeful. Because of you guys I know I keep speaking up, and even though it is so clearly now shown by the current administration that North Korea is never gonna be a thing for him, he decided to make this issue very, very under the radar. So North Korean issue do not get any attention. But despite that, I know people care, and that's why we have a lot of jobs to do. If Biden is not gonna try to serve North Korea and help the free people, then it is our job to do that, and every little thing that we do matters. I know, guys, that we missed a lot of questions today, and I'm very grateful you spent your time to join with me. Before I go, I'm gonna answer 3 more questions, and then we're gonna have a wonderful evening. So let's see. I know this is whenever I speak, this I don't know, there's some jam is coming. It's getting worse and worse. It is getting so horrible. I think Chinese definitely not know how much I am there to criticizing them, so I'm sure their algorithms figuring out how to jam me. So Eric, I find you incredibly inspiring. Hopefully you awaken some of the brave and buried in the country here. I think the self-loathing comes from fear of speaking against lies. Interesting. You survived, so can we. Oh, thank you. Wow. That's very deep. Thank you, Eric. So Martine, do you have an email or newsletter to sign up for? If not, would you consider it? I would, but I think in a way, just follow me on Locals on Patreon. I share way more exclusive contents. And on my Patreons, I have a monthly Google Hangouts. So I get to see your beautiful faces too. And you can ask me direct conversations. And there are different tiers. So some of my patrons, I have like phone numbers and we exchange ideas. So that is a way how you can get hold of me. And so let's see the last 2 questions. Let's see. So what do you think of Carter's Clinton's policy on North Korea? What do you think of agreed framework? So I don't know that far to the Carter's. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Clinton's is actually gave the foundation to Obama's policy, became the strategic patience, which I said like fancy way saying doing nothing and completely ignore it. So I mean, Clinton had to go to North Korea, beg the regime to release those journalists, right? If Clinton era, they went really harsh with North Korea and with China teaming up and stop the regime, the North Korea's capability didn't have to come this far, right? South Korea wouldn't have to be this scared from North threat. So, I mean, but the thing is, guys, you know that 20 years later, 10 years later, we're gonna think if Biden stopped the North Korean regime, then we would not end up in this place as a humanity. Imagine 10 years later, we don't have any guarantee North Korea is not gonna release a virus, right? I mean, it's not any way saying this COVID coming from somebody released it. That's not it. I just don't want to be conspiracy theory. But the thing is, North Korea does a lot of chemical tests, a lot of chemical weapons. But I'm sure you know that it's not only North Korean thing. It's in the Middle Eastern countries. They do the same thing. So I don't know, recently I saw this Jon Stewart interviewed Colbert, and he says how humanity gonna end is gonna be some guy made some mistake in the lab, and that's how we're gonna all end. I never thought about that until the pandemic, and I think it's possible. It's so totally possible, and especially countries are like so this shady, like North Korea, and in a way, about another Chernobyl can happen in North Korea too. They do not know how to bury the nuclear waste after their test, so there are so many birth defects, and people become not able to reproduce, and their body form changes in North Korea. You don't know that, but the people who live near this testing sites, they are like the people who went through Chernobyl and the nuclear bomb in Japan. So we just don't know fully the effects of letting this kind of regime exist and continue. And it's not gonna be that good for us eventually, and for our children. Somebody gonna pay a price when you do not stop the injustice. Because if injustice is anywhere, it's everywhere, right? It's not like just some theoretical thing now. And the world is not even like in the past. We're so connected, right? How many flights going everywhere, so connected. The world was never disconnected. The one virus shut down the entire world. We saw that. And where do we guarantee that it's not gonna ever happen again? So that is why I'm asking you to care about this issue. In so many ways that we have to care, and most of all because it's the right thing to do. Because we are living in this freedom, and we have a responsibility to care about right things and do the right things. So I'm grateful, guys, you joined me for the last hour. Asked a lot of questions, amazing questions. I know I couldn't answer even like 10% of what you asked. I will do my best to come back more and answer your questions. And yeah, we go from there. The journey just began. I will never stop speaking out. And it's gonna be a tough time speaking about North Korea for the next 4 years with Biden, because now he clearly doesn't want that to happen. So, but we will continue, guys. Love you, and I will see you all soon. Love you, guys. Have a good one. Love you. Bye. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.